going back, though, yesterday you were reported by the New Zealand Herald, and I'm reading that this morning. You won't probably be very upset about those headlines, that you told supporters at a public meeting yesterday that Māori are not Indigenous. Your quote is saying, "Here's the rub, if you are Māori, we're not Indigenous." Now, you said that in the context of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, which has been used in New Zealand by some, and certainly by the upper echelons of the public sector, to bring in co-governance and a large number of people think some form of apartheid into this country. Is that what you were meaning in terms of your context?
Well, precisely. Look, it's 2007. I'm the foreign minister dealing with the United Nations. And when this came up, I made it very clear to Helen Clark, we're not starting this up because it's against our constitution. It is ridiculous when it's replying to Māori, and it's against our laws, and it's against our democracy. What you've got here is a leverage which says that in a conflict on the law, then the law of the people who are regarded as Indigenous will prevail over, and that's LORE, will prevail over the LAW of the other population, and that's and also other defects. And I said that, and Helen Clark would see it, and didn't dispute that with me either. And then along comes John Key, and with the ACT Party and the Māori Party, they go and sign up in 2010, and the rest is history. And when it's put on him, John Key said, it was aspirational. The answer is, well, first of all, we're not Indigenous as Māori. We came here from Hawaii. You've heard about the people called the Cook Island Māori. They're our brothers and sisters from an earlier time. That's where we came from. And then you've got Scotty Morrison using your taxpayers' money offshore right now on TV1. These very same people that criticise me tried to find the ancestry and the roots of Māoridom. Get my point here? There's something awfully stupid about this going on. I didn't think I had to defend myself in stating the obvious whilst we're at it. What about the Moriori on Chatham Islands?
Well, actually,
what have they got to say about that?
Actually, I have discovered, I've been doing some heritage, and I discovered that I am 164th Moriori, Winston, on my grandfather Fred's side.
Oh, well, you're lucky. Here you go. Just line up now.
Well, actually, there's not many of us, as you've probably worked out. I think there's a less than 1,000 Moriori left. Remember, they got cannibalised, eaten, and genocide committed against them prior to the signing of the Treaty of Waitangi.
Yeah, by who?
Exactly, Taranaki iwi.
But the Taranaki Māori, and now obsessed with what everybody else has done wrong in their DNA. But here's my real point. The Moriori was a classic, almost unique society, maybe only three in history, where they practiced peace.
Yes.
And that's the reason why they became so victimised. And the last full Moriori died in 1936.
Tommy Solomon.
William Solomon.
Yep, Tommy Solomon.
Very sad.
It is very sad. No, I agree. Listen, but going now, co-governance. So if you are elected, this is where you seem to align with both National and ACT and New Zealand First.
No, I don't.
You don't?
No, I don't. For goodness sake, I'll give you three examples of ACT and National doing this matter. They started the super city, John Key and Rodney Hyde, that's the ACT party. He was in charge of local government. A super city with non-elected Māori representation. That was the beginning of the rot. Then they signed up these three parties again to UNDRIP, again, no justification whatsoever. And then that wasn't bad enough. The act that I wrote personally and got Helen Clark, even not from opposition, the foreshore and seabed legislation was New Zealand First legislation, not ACT, and not National, not Labour's, not Helen Clark's, and not Colours. It was mine, and I did it. I'm on the photograph. I'm on the Dominion Post front page because of that, going way back to 2005. We got it all settled with all the coastal Māori. What happened? 2011, under Finlayson and John Keyes, they repealed that, brought in MACA, the Marine and Coastal Areas legislation, and now we've got 600 claims, Manu Māori fighting Māori on the coastline for every kilometre of coastline and all the way down to Antarctica, costing $300,000 for every case being paid for by the taxpayer. These people have got their DNA and their fingerprints all over co-government, and now they're campaigning in front of you saying we're against it. No, they're not.
All right.
When they were...
Sorry, can I just take you back? No. You sure?
One last thing.
Okay.
When Options Pledge went to Seymour in 2017 concerned about this issue, he said there are no votes in it. Now, that's the fact. Can't change that back.
He's certainly changed his view now, though, hasn't he? I mean,
no, he hasn't changed it. No, well, look, any port in a storm when you can't definitely get votes. But will he have the guts and the wit to do it? You know he won't.
I don't know, because I actually did a bit of research on this. It was when Simon Power, you would have been in Parliament at the time, I assume, signed New Zealand up. John Key was the Prime Minister at the time, to the United Nations Declaration on Indigenous Rights. Now, to be fair to Seymour, he was the only person who voted against it. I've looked at the voting record of that. Where were you when that matter was introduced into Parliament? Where was New Zealand First?
Being maltreated by the media, and I wasn't in Parliament, as you know.
Right,
between
okay,
2008
right.
and 2011.
Okay, so that's why I'm asking the question. Because in 2015, Simon Power, I think, signed up New Zealand to the United Nations Declaration on Indigenous Rights. Nevertheless...
No. In the dark of the night, Peter Sharples went over without any advice and any information or any advance notice from anyone and signed it to the UN, and with Don Key's permission. It was Peter Sharples who signed it.
Right.
Not Simon Power in 2015.
Well,
it was Peter Sharples.
Simon Power introduced the legislation to Parliament.
Oh, well, a fait accompli.
So you're saying that didn't matter how you voted at that stage?
No, the reality of the matter is that what happened is that they took John Key's assurance of it being aspirational and abused and misused it and trying to make it a construct about which and from which we must act now when it's not true.
Well, that was the next bit, because it's what happened next that was really most important. I mean, it's how each country interpreted that and meant it. There was, as you know, Hei Purpur was commissioned. The argument of ACT and others is that you were in the cabinet that commissioned Hei Purpur. Is that right or not?
I know, Michael. And Michael, they're just demonstrating their ignorance. That they've never been a cabinet minister, never been inside a cabinet in their 29 years of existence. And here they are repeating the same stuff. We had to demonstrate that we were looking at what was signed up to, and this was commissioned but never, ever finished and never, ever shown to me. And Will Jackson's my evidence for that. He said, we never showed it to him because guess what he'd done with it? They knew full well while they're hiding from me because I would never let it happen because as the Foreign Minister, I was the one who invited to the United States, talking to the United Nations, not anybody else, and not the Prime Minister. So they made sure I didn't know.
No, okay, I accept that assurance unreservedly that you didn't know.
Willie Jackson said so.
Okay.
But the ACT Party keeps on saying that I knew.
All right.
You know what I mean?
But
they're not going to beat me on this matter because I've got truth and veracity and integrity and 42 years of doing one thing on my side, and they have not.
All right, okay. In actual fact, I just need to back that up. I'm looking now at a transcript of the ministerial statement. It wasn't introduced, it was a ministerial statement by Simon Power, and it was introduced in 20 April 2010, Winston.
Thank you very much for confirming. I thought you were saying things, you began to shake me because I thought I was there and I can't remember that happening.
It's all right, it's okay. I like to think that the facts are there. No, it was 2010, and he said this morning at 4:45 New Zealand time, the Minister of Maori Affairs, the Honourable Dr. Peter Sharples, appeared before the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues and announced New Zealand's support for the declaration.
Precisely.
Yeah.